So we're going to have a couple of questions, and then we'll throw it out to the audience for your participation. So how did it all start?
Well, it started less than a year ago. Nathan and I interviewed the band in Brighton, and Andrew mentioned that they were going to do this tour of small towns, places that people don't really go to anymore. And you know, an idea started to germinate that it would be a good focus for a documentary to visit parts of the country with a band that are actually writing about how things are. So Nathan and I discussed, you know, how it would work logistically. We approached the band in December. They said yes in early January, and we had like 6 weeks, didn't we, to you know, basically do a pre-production, which is fucking stupid, really. But you know,
it's been a very quick process, and from concept to today, it's been less than a year. So,
Did the band have input in what the agenda was with the documentary?
Yeah, I mean, they were very hands-off, though. You know, they're both, you know, pretty great to work with, obviously. Occasionally they would sort of, you know, dip in and ask, you know, how it was going, but really hands-off. Obviously, their music and what they're saying inspired it. So yeah, they had a fair bit of input, but you know, not, you know, saying, oh, it should be this, it should be that.
Right. Okay. So what does 4.2 top and all?
Oh, in Job Seeker.
Job Seeker, yeah.
Well, that's an interesting story. Basically, when he says, you know, 19.4 top,
Yeah.
I think
That's
Jason
it.
had a job in a factory where cooked chickens were, you know, brought in and out, and the job of someone is to basically stick a thermometer in that chicken, and the 19.4 refers to the temperature in the top bit or the middle bit, because if they're, you know, a certain temperature, then you have to basically bin them. So it's quite a sort of subliminal way of talking about work. I think, and the, you know, the mundanity of jobs, like sticking a thermometer in a dead chicken all day. You know, it sums up really how shit work is, isn't it?
Yeah. So what did you shoot it on?
we shot entirely on Blackmagic, and I think it looks fantastic. I hope everyone else does. It worked really well for us. It's I'd used one already, and as it was crowdfunded, as everyone here will probably know, we got another one, and so we shot it together, and yeah, really happy with the results.
Okay, let's throw it out to the audience then. You ready? Any questions? Yes, sir.
It seems that the film was very obviously finished before the Labour leadership election, and I just wondered what about the absence of politics. Just wondering if the lads had any of that faith restored by what we've seen.
Did you all hear that? It seems that the film was finished before the Labourship leader election, and what was the other bit?
I think a lot of people had a bit of faith in politics restored by what we've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems to be the general message, but I don't think that he'll last. I don't think he'll last a year. I mean, if they do well in the local elections, then perhaps he will. But you know, that party's full of snakes, and they're, you know, they're queuing up to, you know, stab the guy in the back. He seems a decent man, but he's part of a system that I think doesn't work. It's a system that's been in effect for hundreds of years. You know, what was relevant, you know, back then isn't relevant now. I mean, the way that we elect our leaders is out of date, hopelessly out of date. So, you know, good luck to Jeremy Corbyn. I think he's a nice, decent bloke, but you know, they'll stab him in the back as soon as they can, I think.
But do you think people are getting obviously sick of what's going on, and do you think that they'll support him more and stand up for him and ignore the press?
What he's got to do is he's got to win the 35% of people that don't vote, and that's a difficult task because, you know, the people that don't really believe in politics, you know what attention spans are like these days. You know, a story like Cameron sticks his cock in like a dead pig. It was big news for like 2 days, and it's, you know, it's gone. And people right now are very excited about Corbyn, but will they, you know, will these people that don't vote now register to vote in 5 years?
Well, I think the you know, the leadership, and not the leadership election, that you know, caused a lot more people to join the Labour Party, didn't it?
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely. Yeah, no,
just
just interrupt. Yeah,
devil's
definitely.
advocate
I think it's a very fresh face to politics as well, and potentially someone who people could connect to. I think, you know, we've just seen that young people, especially, don't necessarily feel the connection, and he could be the person to bridge that gap.
Any more questions? No. Yes, sir.
I think it's interesting that the Sleaford mods say that their music is just social commentary and it's not really about a political message, yet to me it isn't totally political. Where do they stand in terms of the sort of social movement? Do they feel a pressure now that they're getting their voice more heard and becoming more popular. I mean, I went last night and the place was packed, you know.
Yeah.
And do they feel the pressure now to become a part of, I don't know, to sort of speak to more people or to say something that will galvanise people?
Do you get that?
Yeah, I think I wouldn't be able to speak for them really. I mean, conversations that we've had, I think they've always said it is social commentary. I think the pressure on any band as you get bigger is to, you know, stay at that level. But I think, you know, they didn't really expect the level of success that they've got. You know, they've really just hit on something, and you know, they've done it the old-fashioned way. Of they, you know, toured to places where people don't really go, and they've built up a fan base, and they meet their fans. You know, after the gigs, you know, you've been to the gigs. Like last night, I was there as well. Obviously, a big venue. They can't really go out into the arena and meet people and sign stuff. But on that small towns tour and before that, you know, they'd be out after the gig. They'd be signing merchandise, meeting the fans. I mean, they are the real deal, as a lot of you will know. So it's a question for them really, like what they feel is, you know, going to be coming next. But they're going to be on later with Jules Holland, I think next week or the week after. So yeah, they're going to get bigger, I think.
And I think again in the sort of short time that we've been with them, and in the year that we've met, they've exploded within that short time as well. So it's probably a lot for them to consider as well, and sort of where they are and where they're going.
It's very daunting for them, I think, as well.
Oh, I can imagine, definitely, yeah.
You know, are they going to be these leaders of the next revolution? I don't think they.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. Next question, please, if there is one. Yes.
Have you got any documentaries that inspired the making of the film?
Any documentaries that inspired the film?
Yeah, loads. I think the main two, one was called The Filth and the Fury, the Sex Pistols film by Julian Temple. I mean, me and some of you, like some of my mates here, we used to watch that film every fucking week and just quote it like boring fucking idiots at each other and piss everyone else off and spoil their enjoyment of it. But that was an inspiration in terms of as a music documentary, the rough and ready style of it. And I think the other one was for us a film called London by Patrick Keeler, which is a documentary that follows the run-up to the 1992 general election, and it's sort of, I don't know if any of you have seen it, I'd really recommend it though. It's a lot of the still shots in the film were inspired by that, of just having a static camera and, you know, showing what's on screen with a connection to what's being spoken about.
Yeah, and again, I think you can take inspiration from any documentary, but for me personally, just from the band, listening to the music, that's what inspired me to do the documentary the way we did. I think we both decided to begin with it has to have this raw element. We can't gloss over real life, and the Sleaford mods don't do that, and I think what we've created captures the essence of them.
Next question. Yes, sir.
What are your plans for future films?
Well, I mean, at the moment, a friend of mine, Lee, I don't know if he's there, I don't think he is, we've been talking about maybe making a film about the homeless. I think 1 in 9 homeless people are, you know, ex-services. So it's an idea that, you know, it's been floating around my head, but I haven't really got any firm plans as yet.
And I sort of mentioned before, I'm not sure if you know, in Johannesburg there's Ponty Tower. Again, it kind of is a bit too long to go into now, but it kind of has this sort of class issue, and again, it's in Johannesburg, there's a race issue as well, which you never hear about that over here. So potentially.
Any more? We're still good for time, yeah? Yes, sir.
Were there other bands that you considered to appear in this documentary other than the Mods?
To interview,
Well,
or
I'll just tell them what it was. Were there other bands that you considered?
Oh, you couldn't make that film about any other band really. There's no
Yeah.
band like that. You know, they inspired the idea behind the film. I mean, originally we did do some interviews with some other musicians and other bands, but it didn't really work in the context of that documentary, because, you know, if you've got this thing that's for the fans and it's about, you know, the fans and what they're doing, having sort of someone that's like sort of famous or semi-famous would sort of just kind of distract from the issues, I think. So I think it needed to be sort of mainly just the band, really.
Can you talk a bit about the fundraising for it?
Yeah, so we crowdfunded it via Indiegogo. We had a chat about our budget, and, you know, we've never done this before, so we sort of originally thought, what, $7,000, didn't we?
If we're down the pub and
Yeah.
seven sounds to the right.
Yeah, we sort of sat in a pub and just worked out how much to spend on petrol and all that, and we got double that. And someone said, well, you could have probably got, you know, more, you probably could have got 40, 50, but I think that would have been greedy, and I think, you know, having the small budget was useful in a way because it directed it. You know,
But you did struggle, didn't you, with that budget?
we
still?
did it. Yeah, we did still. It'd been great to have more, obviously, wouldn't it?
Definitely, yeah. I think we probably overspent on things that
Mm.
we didn't need to, but I think that would happen anyway. Even if we had 100 grand, we probably would have gone over somehow. But I think what we had, I'm really proud of what we made, and I think it was suitable. It was a suitable budget for what we were doing.
Mm.
So it's an entirely fan-based made film, really?
Yeah, it was all funded
film.
by, like, you know, people in this room. You helped fund it too, and you know, we're just really grateful to all the people that chipped in for it, really. Also want to I forgot to thank a few people earlier. I want to thank Josh, who was our editor. I want to thank Jack McGinnity, who did the colouring, the colour grading. Jack, who did the video graphics. I want to thank Paul, who did the sound. Have we forgotten anyone?
And they were all unpaid, of course.
Yeah, we all did it sort of, you know, as a labour of love. I mean, once we do make some money from the film, we will, you know, buy him a drink or something. But
Get him a Sony.
yeah,
If you make any money.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They might have water.
Any more questions? Go on.
Just a quick one.
Go on.
What's the journey for the film now? What's your hopes and aspirations for it?
Journey for the film now.
Yeah, I think the main thing is we want as many people to see it as possible. We were looking for a distributor, but you know, a lot of distribution companies don't really want to touch a film like that. That's obviously very strong political message. So we're going to self-distribute now, which means that we'll basically all the people that crowdfunded it will be getting a DVD. We'll release a few DVDs. We'll, you know, maybe put it on something like Vimeo on demand for people to see it that way. Try and get it on BBC 4 or something like that. But yeah, you never know what kind of journey a film's going to have. Do you?
It needs a wider audience, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's the main thing, just to get people to see it, people to introduce people to the bands, and hopefully people enjoy it.
Any more? We've still got some time. Yes, sir.
Was there anything really unexpected about whilst you were filming the documentary that you hadn't anticipated with the band?
Anything unexpected when you were filming the documentary that happened?
No,
Well, just the usual things of, like, you know, technical stuff. I mean, it isn't a technically perfect film by any means, because it's a first-time film. But I suppose, yeah, I wouldn't say necessarily unexpected. Just little things though that you sort of realise along the way, like the way that you record sound and stuff, and using the clip-on mics. And you know, for the first part of the film, we weren't using those clip-on mics because we were just basically what we would do every day. We'd wake up, we'd be in a hotel somewhere, you know, usually with a hangover, and then you'd go to the place where the band were playing, the new town. You'd have to meet people, like meet the fans and meet the campaigns that we met. You know, grab a bit of dinner, then you'd go down to the gig, interview some more fans, film the performance, and so it was very difficult to sort of remember to do everything. It was just the two of us, so not using those clip-on mics was like halfway through. We just thought, oh, hang on a minute, we've got these clip-on mics. Should probably start using them. They cost £700. So.
I think so. Sort of driving was quite a lot as well. I think we sometimes have 4 hours, and just at times we're just stuck in traffic for like an hour or so, just wasting time.
Yeah, I mean,
But you were with the band in the car, weren't you?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes they wanted to travel with us, I think, you know, to sort of break up the monotony of being in the same thing together. But this guy did really well, because not only did he have to film and shoot and everything else, he also had to drive, because I don't drive, and he also had to put up with me being an absolute cunt with shit directions.
Did you ever suffer one of the alien deadly cargo moments in the car with the manager?
No, I mean, the only thing that was related to that was that we were going to share a room the whole time. After the second night of him snoring, like proper, like, so I just thought, we've got to get rooms each, mate, because you know we've got a bit of money, so let's just. I wouldn't have got a wink of sleep otherwise.
But I think so. In terms of your question, I think we were very lucky. There was never a point of any sort of turmoil where we're thinking, oh gosh, it's all gone wrong. Everything, in that sense, did go to plan.
And what happened with one of the fans in the gutter one time or something?
It was in Oxford, the Oxford one.
Yeah.
So it's a young guy in Oxford who you would have seen in the film, and obviously he's having quite a lot of fun at the gig. And after we'd packed up, we walk outside, and he's like lying in a ditch, covered in vomit. And it's either a police van or an ambulance there. I can't quite remember. Both, yeah.
And didn't he say he contributed or something?
Yeah, he was like,
Oh, really?
I gave you 20 quid. And he's like, oh, cheers, mate. I'll call you a cab if you want.
Any more? No. Any fan-based questions for the Sleaford mods? We've still got time. Do you want to tell us some more?
Funny stories.
When we were in Cardiff, Sleaford Mods, there is a Cardiff Students' University in the Union. I think the Stranglers were playing upstairs and the Sleaford Mods were playing downstairs. And it's about 9 o'clock. A group of old ladies walked in looking for a coffee, and so they've definitely come to the wrong place. It's either Stranglers gig or Sleaford Mods gig, but there's
They weren't very
no
impressed,
coffee.
were they? I mean, the first night of the tour was quite interesting because we went to a place called Hannawin, which is, you know, for the purposes of promotion, they called it Stoke, but it's a distinct sort of town. And the support band were called Fishwank. So we started watching them. You know, you hear a band called Fishwank, you're going to take a look, aren't you? So we're watching this band play, and they're absolute fucking nutbags. Like, they were all dressed up in dragged like with wrestling masks on. They were, you know, hitting each other on stage. Like, and at first I thought it was just, you know, it was just for fun, but they were actually properly hitting each other. And then one of them was like a Bez who just didn't really do anything other than just like box people around the head and stuff. And he jumps into the crowd and he starts pushing people, and then he just pushed the wrong person, and the guy just turned around to him and just lamps him one, knocks him out. And Jason and Andrew are watching this like from the balcony, just looking at completely aghast. And then we go back into the dressing room and there's a knock on the door, and the promoter comes in and says, Jason, do you mind coming down and meeting the guy from Fishwank? He really wants to meet you. He's just, we called him an ambulance because he's broken his collarbone. But do you mind going down there and signing his his arm or something? So we went down there and signed this poor guy's arm. He was like, off to A&E with a broken collarbone because he's jumps into the crowd. And I mean, on that night, I just thought, what have we let ourselves in
That
for?
was the first night, yeah.
So you escaped with your lives then, lads.
Yeah, I mean, it was very unhealthy, being on a road with any band, really. I mean, it's a lot of drinking, a lot of service station food, pretty much an expert in what you can get from a service station for 10 quid a day. But yeah, it was a good experience.
Good. Come on, you must have more questions. Yeah? Yeah, there is one.
You're going to make a documentary about Fishwank.
Someone asked earlier what's the next one, and that could be...
I'll tell you what, it would be fucking funny. They were like, I mean, I can't remember what any of the music was like, but it was just one of those things that you see it, and I don't think there'll be the next Sleaford Mods, because I think there's a limit to how far a band called Fishwank can go, but never say never.
The band come over really nice anyway, and
they're lovely
very
people.
good people.
Yeah,
so
they're really good
must have
people.
been a good experience.
Yeah,
okay,
definitely.
Well, I think that's it. Oh, we've got one more here.
What would you say the differences between fans in small towns and fans that go to gigs in London?
What's the difference between fans in small towns and gigs in London?
People in small towns, but a lot of people don't really go to those small towns, and so they're a lot more appreciative. I mean, one of the things I really got from doing the film was going to up and down the country and just meeting so many decent people, really. I mean, it sort of restored my faith in humanity a bit, because I mean, I don't live in London anymore, but I was born here, grew up here, and look, people in London can be very cold, and there is this sort of myth that everyone in London is like really wealthy and isn't interested in the rest of the country. But I'd say in these small towns you meet a lot of people that are genuinely really thrilled, whereas in London, the average sort of on any given night there are probably 50 to 100 gigs going on, so people are sort of spoiled in a way.
Yeah, it's very easy to be sport for choice in London, whereas some place we went to, there's one gig venue for the whole town, and that's it. So everyone's so happy to see the Sleaford Mods there. Even I think when we were in Wakefield, I think on a Monday night the place was like wall to wall. I think it was 250 capacity. We couldn't move in there, and that would never normally happen.
Any more? Okay. Well, we'll wrap it up there then. Thanks everyone
Thanks
for coming.
coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.